Hello and welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Cara Falco.
And I'm Don Smith. On today's show, we'll tell you about the Salvation Army's Thanksgiving Turkey Drive.
And we'll have more on some of the fun holiday activities coming up around the Garden State.
But first, we'll get a look at our forecast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. Good morning, Mike. Nice to see you.
Yes, good morning to you both. Good morning, Don and Cara. We've got a really chilly start to our weekend. Getting started today, we began with clear sky. There was a little bit of a chill setting up earlier this morning, and that chill remains much through this afternoon as highs today will hold in the 50s. Let's get a look outside. Some actual air temperatures for you this morning. 37 degrees way up there in Sussex County, even over toward Essex County. Right there by Essex Fells and Caldwell, 39 for you. Have it over toward Long Branch, Middletown, Freehold, 39 and 40 degrees. And then you see right there behind these numbers, there's a little pop of green over toward Hudson County. That is a freeze watch. So some very cold weather expected here across New Jersey as we go into later on tonight. Now, regarding our weather for today, anticipate a nice cool start with those temperatures holding in the 30s, but we eventually climb to 46 degrees. That is well below average. We should be hitting the mid-50s this time of year. So throughout this afternoon, anticipate a mix of clouds and sun, partly cloudy skies we'll call it, as highs go to 45 in Belmar. The warm spot, 46 degrees in Cape May. I'm not sure you'll find many people spending much time outside along the boardwalk today. We'll give you all the details on what you can expect ahead for this weekend as we get ready for Thanksgiving week. That's coming up with a look of your weekend outlook. Cara, Don, that's in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So, Cara, Governor Murphy has signed a law into a new measure, that would require large event venues like stadiums and theaters to draft plans to deal with the threat of gun violence.
Yeah, the governor says the new law will help first responders better handle any public safety threat. The venues will be required to annually submit a plan to the town's chief of police. It applies to any stadium that can fit over 5,000 people, any movie theater that fits over 1,000, and any church that seats more than 500. I feel like this makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
I'm surprised it wasn't something that was done already.
Exactly. Years ago, like let's say around 2000, I think it was. So I was doing some work in Cranford at the TV station there, and with the police department, and we actually did. They had drills inside the schools, but they actually were planning on back then it was a CD-ROM or whatever that had the actual.
Yeah, you're really dating yourself.
I know, right? Floppy disks next. But it had the plans of the school.
Yeah.
So the police could see what the actual school looked like, and what each room had, whether it was, a chemistry lab, that kind of thing, like cooking area and stuff like that.
But I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame that we need it.
I know.
But we need it, and so it's smart to do.
Right. Exactly. Better be prepared than not prepared at all.
Absolutely.
Speaking of prepared, Cara, officials have unveiled a completed replacement for Newark Airport's Terminal A. The $2.7 billion project features a new $1 million square foot terminal building, redesigned roads and bridges leading to the new terminal, and 2,700 new parking spaces.
So Terminal A will accommodate 33 new gates. Governor Murphy's office says the new Terminal A is expected to bring in $4.6 billion in economic activity and provide about 2,500 new jobs. It is about time. We need it. Don't get me wrong. I will choose Newark Airport over LaGuardia or JFK any day. I'm not commuting all that way to a different local airport. But we needed it, and I think this is going to be huge for.
Yeah, totally. It's been in the plans for a long, long time, and I saw some of the plans for what's there now, the new one, and it still keeps that iconic front of the building.
Yeah,
there is something to maybe because we grew up here, and that when you hit the ground in Newark that you're home kind of a thing.
Yeah,
but it has a certain architectural kind of charm to it. Kind of like mid-60s, mid-70s, and I think also a lot of movie productions and things like that use it for that
reason. Yeah,
just because it has that retro kind of look, which I think they kind of kept here in the new design. But yeah, certainly welcome there. And I will say that Newark Liberty is one of the easier airports to get around.
Yes,
like if you go to Kennedy, LaGuardia, you just you miss it, and it's kind of keep going around the traffic circle, like Chevy Chase and European Vacation, right? You just got to keep rolling along. You just got
to keep on going.
Exactly. So, but a little fun fact for you, Cara, that the Terminal A is actually in Union County. It's not Newark. It's Elizabeth.
You know what? Yeah. I knew that. Yes, I know. Part of the airport is in Elizabeth, not in Newark.
Exactly, right. So I think they should have a sign inside. Maybe they do. I don't know. With
the county line right down the middle of the terminal.
How fun would that be, right?
That would be very cool.
People taking pictures from London at the county line between Union and Essex counties. Fun stuff. All right, Cara. So with the midterms now in the rearview mirror, political observers are looking forward to the next set of state elections in 2023. And former Governor Kristina Whitman wants to reform the current election cycle.
Yeah, so as one of the co-founders of the new Forward Party, former Governor Whitman wants to bridge the two sides of the political aisle.
We will support Republicans, Democrats, independents, as long as they agree with our basic philosophy, which is, thriving communities, economic opportunity for all, belief in the Constitution, support of the Constitution, respect for the rule of law, and a willingness to change the way we elect our representatives, meaning for us at this time, it is open primaries and ranked choice voting to give everybody an opportunity to be heard.
The Forward Party endorsed a bipartisan slate of candidates in 2022 and will look to get on the ballot in several states in the coming months. This is really interesting, and I feel like, I think that's what people more than anything are looking for. It's like, compromise is not a dirty word. Government runs when people make concessions.
Sure.
So I'm going to be, I'm paying attention to that.
Yes, I think
looks
everybody
very
in New Jersey should pay attention to that. And again, anytime you try to introduce like another third party by like name, I think it just has a lot of difficulty for some reason.
It almost always falls flat for some reason.
Exactly. So we'll see how this goes. But you're right. Just because you're differing opinions doesn't mean you can't work together.
Right.
And I think that's part of the problems that we're having now is that they just don't want to talk.
Right.
It's like you're on one side, you're on this side. And that's it.
That's it. Forget you. Yeah.
So then things kind of get stalled. So we'll see how far this goes.
Yeah. Hopefully they make it go. Hey, listen, speaking of making things work, Thanksgiving's coming up next week, and the Salvation Army is running a turkey distribution for families in need.
Here now is with more is Lieutenant Emily Kumar of the Salvation Army.
Hi, Emily. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so can you tell us a little bit more about the turkey distribution project?
Yes, of course. So in the Salvation Army, we have a number of locations across the state of New Jersey, as well as throughout the United States. But with each location, we have different Thanksgiving efforts. And for us here in Kearney, we have a distribution that'll actually be happening next week where we have families from the community come in. We give them not only turkeys, chickens, but also non-perishable foods for their holiday season.
So, Lieutenant, what goes into organizing something like this?
A lot. It's crazy. It takes a lot of time and dedication and wonderful partners. But thankfully in the Salvation Army, we have the privilege to work with a number of hardworking partners. For us here in Kearney, we work with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, as well as a few other locations within our specific community. But it just takes that united effort to try and meet the needs of our community, and then allowing folks to come into our doors and to just have those conversations and develop those relationships. But as much as work as it is, it's a wonderful opportunity that we have.
And then, Lieutenant, how does this fit into Salvation Army's kind of overall planning for the holiday season? I mean, we all know the red buckets and the bells outside of the grocery stores and all those other things. So what part does this play in all of that?
Yeah, so this is actually, it's just one piece of the ginormous puzzle that is what we try to do here at the Salvation Army. So in general, we want to meet the needs, both physical and spiritual and mental and all of those things of those within our community. So during Thanksgiving, being able to provide a meal for a family is huge. And then obviously with our extended campaign through the rest of the holiday season, you'll see those buckets out there that help us raise funds to sustain the work that we do throughout the year. And then you'll also see another program that we do known as Angel Tree, where we get to provide children with toys under their Christmas tree for Christmas morning.
And as you said, Lieutenant, it's a big undertaking. So where can people find out more on how to volunteer?
Yes, people can go straight to our website, salvationarmynj.org. There are a number of opportunities to help, whether that's volunteering your time or a monetary donation, or even just supporting from afar as you're sharing social media posts, whatever it is. But again, that's salvationarmynj.org.
Lieutenant Emily Kumar, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Salvation Army, one of my favorite charities, by the way. I just think you guys do tremendous work and make it easy to donate and participate. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, Salvation Army does just an amazing job. I mean, there's just such a big undertaking, and it's just they don't get as much credit, I think, as they should for all the efforts that they put in.
Yeah, and I find them to be, they're one of the charities that I feel like you can really trust that your donation goes where you intended it to go versus,
exactly.
kind of getting
Yeah.
tumbled up into a mix
Exactly.
somewhere.
A lot of places today they ask you, hey, do you want to donate 50 cents or $1 and round it up, that kind
Right.
of thing. And sometimes I just kind of don't do it because you kind of feel like it goes more to the administration than actual to where it needs to
To
go.
where it
But
needs to go.
the
Yeah.
Salvation Army, like you said, it goes to where it's supposed to go
Yeah.
to help people
To
in
help
need.
people in need.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
exactly what it should do. Up next, we'll tell you about the Allura show, another one of the exciting shows you can see right here on New Jersey.
And we'll give you the latest data on how much plastic the paper bag requirement has saved after 6 months. Don't forget, you can find us over on social media. Search for @NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Click follow.
2020 felt like a dark tunnel, and while 2020 is over, the impact is not. The pandemic affected both our physical and mental health.
We started the Cody Fund for Mental Health to change lives, so we want you to know about NJ211.
It's a referral service for anyone in crisis, even children.
I am living proof that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
And it's not a train, it's help. It's NJ211.
Right now, New Jersey's youth are dealing with a lot. Growing up today, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but you're not alone. If you're worried about someone, reach out and point them to help if they need it. The New Jersey Department of Children and Families offers support to children and youth in crisis. Help is available by phone or text whenever you need it. Be there for a friend, and know where to turn for help. Suicide should never be the answer. Growing up can be hard. Getting help shouldn't be.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta. He's got another check of that weekend forecast. And I was walking the dog the other day and thinking, bundled and freezing, and thinking to myself, wasn't it 70 degrees a week ago?
It was. It was
Yeah.
humid. It was
Yeah.
70
Yeah.
and humid. Just goes to show breaking records on all accounts for warmth.
In both directions, right?
Yeah, not so much the cold. And even parts of New Jersey had snow this week.
I
Over
heard.
an inch of snow in Wantage, New Jersey.
Michael,
up
this is
there in Sussex.
unacceptable. You need to make this, it needs to level out.
Acceptable. Wow.
Take care of
I
this.
mean, it gets you in the spirit for a holiday cocktail, right? Something to warm you up.
Yes,
Exactly.
we're
Isn't
gonna
it that
need
time of year where we have the mixologists on the show? Love those segments.
Yes.
So those are always fun. Something to keep you warm because, yes, it will stay cold throughout this week. And even today, feeling chilly with temperatures in the 40s. Remember where it was hard to find a 40-degree reading just last week. But here we go as cooler weather moves in across the rest of the area. As we head into the weekend, there is some even colder weather. So going into Saturday and Sunday, yeah, it'll feel chilly if you do start your Christmas shopping a little earlier or the holiday shopping, because with Hanukkah and Christmas falling on the same week, everybody is going to be hitting the stores, I'm sure, at the same time. And with the dry weather working into next week, I think our fair weather trend takes over going into the next few days. So that's some really good news as we head into the weekend. Saturday's high, 41 degrees, but really look at that low number. That's the number at the bottom in blue, 28 early in the morning on Saturday, staying chilly going into Sunday and Monday as well with that cool weather ahead. I think it stays very cool all throughout the rest of New Jersey, but dry with a high of 40 degrees. That is a typical high on Sunday of Christmas Day. November, the end of December rather, typically has highs that climb only to 40 degrees. So we're running about a month ahead of schedule in the winter department. We'll see if we can find some warmth on that 7-day forecast. Cara and Don, it's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay, so the Crown Act is a bill in Congress that would bar employers from discriminating against current or prospective workers because of how they wear their hair.
Among the Crown Act supporters in New Jersey is New Jersey Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman of the 12th District.
We're talking about non-discrimination in the way you wear your hair and protecting people to be their authentic selves and recognizing that your credentials or your credibility, your ability to do a job or live in an apartment or whatever, buy a house, has nothing to do with what you have on your head.
The Crown Act has already passed the House, and Congresswoman Watson Coleman hopes the bill will pass the Senate and be signed by President Biden during the lame duck session.
I got to tell you, I mean, as somebody who, when I started naturally curly hair, when I started my career, that was definitely, they were like, well, you need to straighten it, you need to iron it out. You look wild, you look untrustworthy. And I was like, who came up with that?
Yeah.
And I have found, at least in our industry, more and more you are seeing, particularly women, able to wear their natural hair, their real hair, and I think that, I think she's right. And again, it's a shame that we have to write it down and make it into a law because it should just be, but it's, again, I think important and a good thing.
Right. And again, like you said, in this business where it's a very visual medium and you see people all the time, it is good that you can wear your hair naturally. And again, speaking from the guy's perspective, I mean, the gray is kind of filled in fairly nicely. I mean, unfortunately, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, 20 years ago, they would say,
been told to dye it.
Right.
Yeah.
They would say, color your hair.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's not acceptable for TV news because it's kind of showing your age. But hopefully it protects the guys too.
Yes. It's for everybody. It's for everybody. So we've been trying to showcase some of the other amazing content that you can find right here on New Jersey. And this week we're featuring the Allura Show, which airs Fridays at 8 p.m. Again, right here on New Jersey.
And here now to tell us is a bit more about the show is the host, Allura Lovelight.
Good morning, Allura.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
I'm good. Same to you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know you had a birthday last week, right?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. So we're so happy to have you back on the show. We loved talking to you, and I'm so excited that you now have your own show here with us.
Yeah.
What can viewers expect from the Allura Show?
So the Allura Show is really about business and creativity. A lot of people have asked me over my music career about like, how are you doing that? How are you putting that together? And it just kind of turned into this whole concept of having the willingness to be brave and to ask for opportunities. And, there's a lot of talented people in the world, but I wanted to kind of showcase an everyday person who also has the ability to go after their dreams. So it's really turned into this beautiful program where people come and they share their stories and talk about maybe limiting beliefs that are holding them back and breaking down those barriers and helping viewers do the same thing.
Now, Laura, you just mentioned music career. Can you give us the backstory and how the show got started?
Yeah, so the show actually got started because my music, which we did an interview about 6 months ago, with the You Matter movement, and my music and my single came out and everything kind of just started to pop for me with my career. So it really transformed into people reaching out to me and following me on social media and saying, we love what you're doing. Will you tell us more about how you're having success independently? And the Allura Show came from that.
That's incredible. So Allura, what has been your favorite part of the show so far?
Speaking to the guests, I always think, like I sit down to write an episode and I always think, oh, this is going to be so great. And then of course I'm the person who learns so much, and it challenges me and it challenges my, my team of people. And so we always talk about how if we're learning from it and we're, being affected by it emotionally, definitely viewers are feeling the same way. So it's been fun. It's like, we just did a veterans episode, as you can see, and the veterans came and they were so willing to share their story and talk about, why it's so important. That episode particularly is called The Willingness to Share Your Story. And it's cool. I'm one person and so I can tell my story, but, it's nice to give people a platform to tell their own story.
Yeah, and talking to those veterans, Allura, is I think really important to get their story. And a lot of veterans don't really talk much about their service and their time in the service. Can you give us a little preview about your next episode?
Sure. So we just finished filming at Rainbow Mountain in Pennsylvania. We did an episode to highlight the LGBT community. It's called The Willingness to Be True to Yourself, which was really, really cool. I think you guys will really enjoy the stories that they came and they shared about how important it is to be true to yourself and what that takes. We also did an episode, as you can see in the studio, about the willingness to do what you love and really go after a life that you love. And that's what the show is all about. So there's a lot of good stuff coming.
Allura, all of that sounds amazing. And I definitely feel that, particularly the LGBTQ community shows, so much bravery and vulnerability, as you were saying, to be your authentic self, because it really is, something that's so, it's hard to do for anybody, and especially, if you're a, somewhat marginalized community. So that's incredible that you're putting this spotlight on all these different communities, the veterans, everybody. That's it's really interesting, and I'm excited to see the show.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, when I was presented the opportunity, like, hey, do you want a TV show? And I was like, sure. But it really has morphed into this thing that I feel like was part of my purpose all along, and I just didn't know. I've always loved people, and I love telling stories, and that's where my music is based out of, telling stories and speaking on behalf of people who feel like they don't know how to articulate what they're talking about. And I think the TV show is a perfect kind of transition addition to that. So I'm really excited about where it's going and the stories we're going to tell and the people we're going to meet. And I hope that viewers connect, and I hope that they, if it's not my story they connect to, they see somebody they can relate to. Yeah. That's
absolutely, Alora. And you definitely bring that all the time. I remember from our interview and now with this one. So thank you again for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for highlighting the Alora Show, and have an awesome day. Thanks for having me.
You too.
Yeah, thanks, Alora. And again, you can catch the Alora Show right here on New Jersey, Friday nights at 8 p.m.
It's so great. She's such a doll, Alora, and that's going to be such a great show. Absolutely. So, listen, we've been talking about this all the time on this show. It's been 6 months since New Jersey's plastic bag ban went into effect, and new data shows it's actually helped cut down the garbage.
The New Jersey Food Council found in a 160 stores survey that the ban has limited the use of 1.1 million plastic bags a month. That's a lot of bags.
Yeah.
Cutting down on a major source of plastic pollution. It's also helped cut costs, with more saving $5 million in monthly expenses.
I think that's, most of the stories that we've done so far have been where it had like unintended consequences.
Right.
So it's good to finally get some of that initial data back that says, except that, it is working. We are cutting down the pollution. It is a savings to the stores, which is good, because hopefully they're passing that. Well, and especially with inflation right now,
Sure.
it's like, hopefully there's a little bit of a balance there somewhere.
Right. But at times I do still miss the plastic bags. Sometimes you just you're going for it, and and then all of a sudden the trunk has so many of these, the renewable.
I have
ones.
them everywhere. They're all over my head. The reusable ones.
Exactly.
They're like at both entrances in the laundry room. So when I'm washing them, they're in the trunk of the car.
Exactly.
I just have them stashed.
But I always forget it, though, because I end up getting into the store and I'm like, well, I don't feel like going back into
out to
the car and get it. So it's like you're carrying like 2 pineapples under your arm, and then you're trying to get a thing of iced tea, and then you got to get toilet paper. It's like it just doesn't work. So you got to go back 3 different times in order to go back out to the car to get the bags.
The bags.
But it is good, like you said, to get hard data that people can say, hey, this is what we're saving. This is potential savings money-wise for the stores, and it is a good thing.
And for the environment, which was the purpose overall.
And to get rid of the plastic bags. So
yeah, it does make a difference.
It
We're
does.
helping. All right, speaking of environmental stuff, some Ocean City residents are opposing a proposed cable that would run through beachfront property to connect to an offshore wind farm.
Yeah, opponents fear the proposed Ocean Wind 1 project could damage the local beach environment and raise rates for consumers. Environmental activists from organizations like the New Jersey Alliance for Action say the project is a net benefit for the environment. They argue wind power is needed to address climate change.
I feel like this is one of those things that, like the plastic bag ban, we're always kind of going to be tackling. It's like, there's always kind of like this initial damage or something, but is it long term, and what are the long term benefits of allowing it, and is it worth it?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to go down a similar road to the natural gas pipelines that were looking to be put through parts of New Jersey, literally down residential streets as to continue from Linden, from the Bayway refinery into New Jersey. So I kind of have a feeling maybe in a similar venue of that kind of an argument to find out, maybe more about it. But again, I think maybe more information just needs to be filtered out there to the public as far as if there's any safety issues, and if there is a problem, then they're gonna have to come either dig up the road, or is it gonna be up into the the power lines themselves?
Right. So, exactly. Yes. We need the information. We need the data.
We need more information, right? Like the plastic bags. That's right.
Exactly. All right, guys, coming up, we're going to tell you about a nonprofit in Sussex County that's looking to feed hundreds of needy families this Thanksgiving.
Plus, look at where New Jersey stands in the national pothole rankings. Don't want to miss that.
Don and I probably have a good idea on this
one.
You can always find us over on social media. Search for @NJ Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and click follow.
Right now, families all across New Jersey are struggling with hunger, and their financial futures remain uncertain. You can be the hope for our hungry neighbors in need in a time when that need is still so great. The Community Food Bank of New Jersey, the state's largest anti-hunger, anti-poverty organization, is filling the emptiness caused by hunger with food, help, and hope. Go to cfbnj.org now to join us.
The New Jersey Hall of Fame is coming to you, celebrating our best and brightest, greeting guests along our Garden State Parkway through its 9 service areas, engaging travelers from our terminals to our transit centers, inspiring new generations as we move from town to town, and at New Jersey's hottest red carpet ceremony, inspiring New Jerseyans at our new home at American Dream. It's the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and it's where you want to be because everyone needs a hero.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Favetta with a look at that 7-day forecast for us. And we were just talking in the last hit about how the last 7 days have been, 180 degrees. Are we going for another loop?
A lot of people say, is it climate change? I mean, that's like the conversation these days. And kind of following up on the story, you were talking about that electric line going out to the wind power generation facility. Yes, there are big draws and large evidence pools that show that, human activity, the use of fossil fuels drives climate change. And that's going to give us more extreme swings in temperature in the future. It's odd to break records and have it be 76 degrees and humid 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably see more of that coming up this winter. We have a little short-term view, though, because all of the climate stuff is next week's show. So tune in for our Thanksgiving show, and we have a lot on how it relates to our Thanksgiving, some Thanksgiving extremes, where Thanksgiving weather is headed, all of that for next week. So be sure to tune in then. Regarding our next few days, we've got a cool down ahead. And after so much warmth last week, look at how cool it gets in the next few days. We actually stay below average, not just in New Jersey, but for much of the Northeast. So if you say, okay, it's a balancing act, right? We had so much warm weather last week. This week it's below average. That's just in New Jersey. In some parts of the country and in some parts of the world, it is persistently warm and persistently dry, like that big mega drought you've been hearing about out west. They've been above average and will stay that way for the next 2 weeks. So a little bit of a flip if you consider that going into the next few weeks. We have a little bit of a cooler period. Some parts of the country, not necessarily the case. Here across New Jersey, you've seen beautiful fall foliage so far this autumn. However, that has now come to an end. All of New Jersey has finished with the foliage, and we are now past peak for every area in the state and every state park. So going forward into the rest of today, as our highs climb to 46 degrees, it'll feel quite cool. We're back down in the 20s tonight. It will get very chilly. That's why you have the freeze watch up there for Hudson County, the last county in New Jersey to touch freezing. That means by the end of tonight into tomorrow, all of New Jersey will have ended its growing season. And that's really what that freeze watch and warning means, meaning that it's pretty much the outdoor plants, unless they're hardy for the season, pretty much done with that. Going into the weekend for Saturday and Sunday, our highs stay in the low 40s, and even for Monday and Tuesday, we stay chilly, only rebounding to 45 degrees by Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday sees a tiny warm up, but only into the low 50s, because each night we're back down in the 30s. So staying chilly going into Thanksgiving week. As we head into next week, obviously the holiday shopping going to be a very big deal. With the holidays around the corner, we've got some really great weather ahead with the holidays on the way, allowing for plenty of clear weather. We've got those details coming up and what you can expect with the holiday shopping forecast, especially as we head into next week. And for some reason, my camera is freaking out right now. My camera is on Thanksgiving break a few days early, so we'll get to that part of the forecast just a bit and see if I can get the Nikon back. But in that case, we've got the holiday shopping forecast coming up for you. Cara and Don, maybe it's going to be a new camera for Christmas.
There you go.
There you go, Mike. There you go. We'll put it on the list. I'm sure you've been well behaved enough.
It is just amazing. Like you said, this weekend was 75. It was at the Jersey Shore of the outlets, and no coat, nothing, and then it's into the 40s. I think that's kind of where people kind of get sick when it goes from 75 to 40 so quick.
Yeah,
if we kind of
under a week.
Yeah, kind of stabilize, 40s and 50s, that's fine.
Right, like like gradual. No,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
do this here.
Exactly. But it's definitely, warmer from, again, I always remember as a kid, getting close to Thanksgiving, going to school, walking to school. It felt like you're in a coat from now until like May, you know, and now it seems like kind of moderates a little bit. Dare I say, like maybe a North Carolina kind of climate slowly working its way north, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And Mike is the best person. I can't wait for next week. When Mike does his science lessons, I love it.
Oh, it's like
Such
Mr.
a
Wizard.
nerd.
Yeah.
I know. Absolutely love it. Something else that is beautiful about New Jersey, the New Jersey Ballet Company is opening up its season this Saturday night with a show called New Direction, which is coming to the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown.
And here to talk more about it is creative director Maria Koroski. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, Maria, what are you looking forward to about this performance?
Well, it's titled New Direction, which is really exciting because it is a whole new direction for New Jersey Ballet. We have a really exciting program plan. We start with Hallelujah Junction, which is a ballet choreographed by my former artistic director, Peter Martins, full of exciting, vibrant energy. We have a world premiere by New York City Ballet principal dancer Harrison Ball with costumes by fashion designer Zach Posen, which is really exciting. And then we close with Who Cares, which is the music by George Gershwin. And I think it's a great program for us to start in this new direction because I feel like it's going to bring in a whole new audience. I think it's going to show the community how excited we are to be at the Mayo Performing Arts Center as their resident ballet company, and we're just really looking forward to it.
Great. So can you tell us what went into preparing this show?
Well, I think, I came into the company about a year ago and just trying to really understand, what does the community want in New Jersey? We want to give them exciting performances. I want to give them world-class dancers. And so I really was trying to figure out what would be the best way to showcase this company and get a high energy level of people involved. So that's why I kind of chose the ballets that I did. And I'm really excited to kind of share it with the community.
And we're watching some of the performers practicing here. I'm always amazed by dancers in ballet in particular. I mean, just when I danced ballet when I was like 4, right? But to have an understanding of the athleticism and the practice and the dedication that goes into this, I'm always amazed. What are some of the other performances that you guys have coming up as we head into the holiday season?
Well, we're definitely doing the Nutcracker.
I was going to say, please, I know we want to, some traditions must stand.
Yeah, we'll be performing the Nutcracker at Bergen Pack. And we have, we're also performing it down at the Lavoie Theater in Millville. And then we have I think about 14 performances at the Mayo Performing Arts Center starting December 16th. So it's a full, December is full of Nutcracker performances, but we're also very excited about that. And then going into the new year, we're doing the Sleeping Beauty and another rep program as well. So we have some exciting things ahead and we're all really looking forward to it.
So with all this excitement, where can people go to buy tickets and find out more about the ballet?
Well, Mayo Performing Arts Center, if you go mayoarts.org, you can find more information on getting tickets. And I hope that everyone will come out and see the company. We've been working so hard and these dancers look amazing. I'm really kind of blown away at their level of dedication and artistry, and they're exhausted, but they're so excited to finally get on the stage and perform. So I hope that we can get a huge crowd there to support them and support this new direction for the company.
Maria Koroski, it sounds amazing. It looks beautiful, even just from the practice video. I can't wait to see it. Definitely something to check out again. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now I have a confession to make.
Confession.
I think I've been to a performance of the Nutcracker as a small child on a field trip, but I have never as an adult been to the ballet.
I've never been to the ballet as an adult. I think as a kid or maybe at like the Paper Mill or something.
I was going to say, I'm thinking the Paper Mill Playhouse.
Yeah, may have been the Nutcracker, but it's amazing. Like you said, the athleticism, people just don't realize how athletic ballet dancers have to be, and I always wonder how they stand on their toe
when they do the point. Oh my!
I don't know if is there something in the shoe that makes
it's
it
wood.
flat?
It's a piece of wood.
Piece of wood.
If you've ever seen a dancer's feet, they're terrible. They break their toes all the time.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff
can
like
imagine that.
It's
Sure.
awful. But that's why I'm like, oh my goodness, just to watch them do it. And they're graceful and they're peaceful and they're so slight. It's incredible to watch.
It's just the gracefulness and just being able to come across the dance floor from somebody who couldn't even find the dance floor, let alone try to do any kind of ballet. It is just amazing to see that. But again, more importantly, I think, do we have any footage of the Cara de Falco ballet? Anywhere?
Somewhere there is a
Break that out from
VHS.
VHS. Okay, I was
Yeah,
thinking I was thinking High 8 or something.
No, you're not that much older than me, my friend. Don't worry about it.
But I think we need to see that.
Yeah, I'll have to bust it out for you. I'll see what I can find.
Exactly. But Cara, we've been seeing these lanternflies, all summer. I mean, they're just all over. They just do not leave. So spotted lanternflies with the weather turning cooler, as Mike said. Officials are now asking people to get ahead of the problem by targeting the egg masses.
Yeah, so spotted lanternflies hatch in late April and early May. So Secretary of Agriculture Doug Fisher says targeting the masses now can help reduce the birding next spring by scraping them off the trees. State and federal agricultural staff have already scraped nearly 340,000 egg masses since October. So these are some of the pictures and videos of what they look like and what to look for. And I know, as somebody who, I guess kind of in general loves animals, I know a lot of people are like, but I don't want to just squish the bugs. But they will eat all the trees.
Right.
They will destroy them.
Yeah, I remember, what was it, the gypsy moths years ago?
Yes,
they would just destroy all the trees, and then they lay the larvae, and then they would,
they just eat through them. Yeah,
just eat right on through the leaves. So, I mean, this is something that, unfortunately, we have to try to keep on top of. Although I will say, though, again, being a Union County guy, in my area, I didn't really notice terribly too many of them for some reason. It was just very spotty, is literally spotted lanternfly. It's just very spotty as far as where they kind of take up home.
Essex County had a bunch, and they're bold. They will like fly right into your face.
Yeah, right.
They'll really, actually, and I never realized she would be a natural, but the dog catches them all the time.
Sure.
She's utterly fascinated by them, and she will just swat at them.
Exactly.
And I'm like, good girl, keep going.
There you go. Keep going. There it is. There's your
natural predator.
Exactly.
The dog.
We had cats growing up in our family, and when the cicadas or the cicadas, whatever you pronounce it, whatever, the cats would always go after them because they'd hear the sound and they weren't sure what it was. If it was a toy or something, they needed swatting them away and then having them in the mouth and eating them and stuff like that. So now I don't know whether they go after the lanternflies or not, but but I mean, when you actually do look at the fly, I mean,
it's a big bug.
It's a big bug, and it's actually a very attractive looking bug.
It is. It is, unfortunately.
In the hierarchy of our bugs.
of things that we have here, yes.
Exactly. So, but yeah, if you can kind of take out the root of the problem first with these eggs, then maybe next season will be a little bit easier.
Absolutely. So, Don, we've been talking about the holiday and heading into the holiday season. The Project Self-Sufficiency nonprofit in Newton is looking for food donations this Thanksgiving. You can help with a $50 family sponsorship or with a direct Thanksgiving food donation.
Executive Director Deborah Berry-Toon told New Jersey Advanced Media they expect to serve over 500 families this Thanksgiving. You can make a donation from now until next Monday by visiting their website at projectselfsufficiency.org.
All these things, there's so many places, especially this time of year, to make a donation. And I just feel like there's still so many people still reeling from the pandemic that, they can't put a full holiday meal on the table, or they can't, give their kids the Christmas that they want. And it's just so important that, if you have the means, even if you have a little extra, to kind of share, I think it just makes such a difference for folks. And there's so many opportunities to
There's so many opportunities to give, and again, we kind of live in a society where it's, the visuals really go along with the holidays. Like, you have to have the turkey, for Thanksgiving. And if you celebrate Christmas, the tree, the menorah for Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. And so, I mean, it's a visual thing. It kind of makes you feel like you're part of it. And I think that's good for Thanksgiving as far as, these local food banks and other organizations, charities that donate, the turkeys. Because look, I mean, every ShopRite, I'll just speak for ShopRite itself, but I mean, they give away the free turkeys after you get, after a certain couple $100 of spending.
Absolutely.
And if you're a family like 4 or 5 people, you're gonna
rack it up, no problem.
So I mean, if you're not going to use that turkey, then might as well give it to somebody that's going to be able to use it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I will put a quick plug for the Cranford Family Care, which I know very well, and they do an amazing job, and they're super busy with all those turkeys. I mean, people just donate them. I know my mother's going to donate our turkey this year to them. So, it's just so many different places around the state that you can do it. And like you said, Cara, it's really easy to do.
Yeah, there's just so many opportunities.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So there's you and I, two former or current traffic reporters,
Exactly.
we're going to be all over this story. There's a new report from Quote Wizard that says New Jersey is the 7th worst state for potholes in the nation.
Well, I wonder what the top 6 are, but as long as New Jersey, we feel like it is number 1.
Yeah.
Survey attempted to quantify drivers' frustration by analyzing Google search data related to potholes over the past year. While no cities in New Jersey made the top 10 worst pothole offenders, nearby cities did. Philadelphia is the 4th worst city for potholes, while New York City came in 7th. Interesting. New York City at 7.
New York City has I drive a Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
New York City has potholes that could swallow the whole damn car.
Well, this is true. Right. Exactly. Exactly. You're probably right on that. And then probably have room maybe for a second one, a second Mini Cooper. I'm not sure.
I mean, they're massive. But New Jersey, and the routes into the city. I can't tell you how many times I have hit something like on my way into the Holland or the Lincoln.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't break the tire.
Exactly. Well, that's you don't want to break the tire, break the axle.
Yeah.
And again, maybe the George is probably the exception. At least we're just talking Hudson River crossings. Obviously, you've got the Holland with the Skyway, you've got the Bay Extension. They're all elevated roadways.
Yeah.
So you also have the 495 viaduct that gets you out to Kennedy Boulevard into the tube, the helix there. It's all elevated. It's all that cold air continuously filters underneath and it gets it from both sides, where a non-elevated roadway really is only the top portion
surface
of it. So you can't really win.
They're so beat up. But even there's some doozies throughout the state though too.
Sure. No question about.
Oh, wait,
here's Mike.
Mike's got one for us.
Oh, you said the magic word, potholes.
Yeah, oh no.
Okay. Stephanie and I drive a Jeep and another SUV.
Okay.
And yet, still, with those giant tires, I know you drive a Mini Cooper and it tends to be a little smaller, low to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
With the giant tires of an SUV and a Jeep driving through New Jersey and New York, still get flat tires from giant potholes. And while we had a really bad pothole season back in the spring, the fall will be pretty bad too because of that freeze-thaw cycle. Like you were mentioning, Don, it's all about the weather.
Right. Right.
I don't know how, and they never even got around. Like normally, they fix it all during the summertime so that when the plows go over it in the winter for the snow, they don't keep hitting it and digging it up.
Sure.
They never even got to them all yet.
And to the DOT's credit, a lot of the main roadways in New Jersey have been resurfaced, and that's great going into the rest of the season. But you can't pave every single road in New Jersey, and a lot of those side roads are really bad going into the winter.
Side roads are bad. County roads are in bad shape in a lot of places throughout the state, and again, being the Union County guy, done a fairly decent job in some of the county roads where I am, but still there's a lot that goes on. And even some of the, potholes are kind of man-made too. You come up on a lot of these big construction projects with all these apartment complexes, whatever, they connect the water lines into the road and then they kind of just put a little bit of asphalt down there. Right?
Yeah.
We're not going to worry about that.
Right. Like when they were replacing a lot of the gas mains in Morris County a few years ago. Let's just put a little asphalt and then wait for it to settle naturally. So we'll make everybody, have
exactly.
to drive over.
Yeah. So now there's just a whole and I feel like they always do that immediately after the town just paved the road. So it's like a freshly paved road and then they dig it up.
That's part of the contract,
exactly
I think.
the case.
Exactly.
You could have coordinated and called somebody. I know.
Exactly.
A quick story, though, and I learned this by watching the news, is that you can have, or at least file a claim with the state or the city in order to have it done. So I did that. Come on, camera. So I did that. You leave it on because my microphone is still on. So 7 months ago, I filled out a 10-page report to the New York City Comptroller's office and gave them all the evidence of here's what I paid for the brand new tire, it was your fault, etc. And so going into the summer season now, I have not heard back. So that's kind of the case as to you send it certified mail.
Did you actually get your money back?
You follow the rules, you send it certified mail, but here we are.
Let's see. All right. You'll have to update us on that.
Yes, please do. Absolutely. And he's right about that. The Turnpike Authority, which controls the Parkway and the Turnpike, you can file a claim. It's on their website, and also NJDOT. There's a page on their website as well where you can file a claim for the state roadways.
Yeah.
So you just need to find out what's the state roadway and what's
where the location was. Yeah,
exactly.
So
you can get some money back.
We hope.
We hope. Exactly. We'll see if Mike gets it back by next year. All right, Mike and Cara, up next, we'll hear from an animal rescue worker from Newark who has been rescuing hundreds of animals.
I can't wait. And we're also going to tell you about East Hanover's upcoming holiday festival.
And you can always find us over on social media. Search for us on the New Jersey Morning Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and click follow.
Right now, families all across New Jersey are struggling with hunger, and their financial futures remain uncertain. You can be the hope for our hungry neighbors in need in a time when that need is still so great. The Community Food Bank of New Jersey, the state's largest anti-hunger, anti-poverty organization, is filling the emptiness caused by hunger with food, help, and hope. Go to cfbnj.org now to join us.
The New Jersey Hall of Fame is coming to you, celebrating our best and brightest, greeting guests along our Garden State Parkway through its 9 service areas, engaging travelers from our terminals to our transit centers, inspiring new generations as we move from town to town, and at New Jersey's hottest red carpet ceremony, inspiring New Jerseyans at our new home at American Dream. It's the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and it's where you want to be because everyone needs a hero.
Welcome back to the New Jersey Morning Show. Let's make sure meteorologist Mike Favetta's camera is working once again. I believe it is. We've got one more look at the forecast for you. Hey, Mike.
Still waiting for that check from the comptroller's office.
There
you know, trying to keep the lights on here in the studio.
Exactly.
That's it. I was going to say.
All going to new tires. That's it.
That's
It's
it,
just those potholes in New Jersey. You know, we were talking before about how temperatures have warmed over the last few weeks. And even though it's a little bit of a cold spell going into Thanksgiving week, the trend and the climate forecast over the next, say, 20 to 50 to 80 years looks pretty warm. So we have some data here. This is from our friends at Climate Central and how in the year 2016, the average temperature of Thanksgiving in Newark was about 52.5 degrees. Going into the year 2050, about 28 years from now, you can see there's a little bit of an increase going to the average temperature of about 55 degrees. How about the year 2100 in Newark? Way down the road when our, grandchildren, maybe grandchildren will be celebrating Thanksgiving. That expected to get really warm, and it likely will be near 60 degrees for an average Thanksgiving temperature. Now, we know there's variations from year to year, but even going forward in time, you know that there's going to be a lot more heat available simply due to more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and that is all a process of just human activity. Now we look at Atlantic City. So we took a look at Newark up in northern New Jersey. Atlantic City is warmer still because you have a warmer influence from the Atlantic Ocean. So with warmer oceans and delaying the heating of the summertime into the late fall, typically it'll obviously last a little bit. That heat will last a little bit longer, making the Thanksgiving of the year 2100, about 78 years from now, much warmer, well over 60 degrees, probably 61 or 62 degrees. So warmer Thanksgiving's on the way. So think, appropriately down the road of what you may plan. And the way you can prepare, people always say, what can I do? I'm just one person. What can I do to help these bad emissions, to reduce our carbon footprint? Well, it all starts with food waste. It is one of the largest greenhouse gas emitters because 30 to 40% of food that is either purchased or produced is wasted. And that either is it's not eaten as a leftover or it's not made in the first place and it goes right to a landfill. It's a lot of money and it rots in the landfill, creating those very potent greenhouse gases, which contribute to climate change. So reducing food waste is very important, and that's good news going into this weekend, as I'm sure the supermarkets and the stores will be filled with people purchasing all of those groceries and making those plans for Thanksgiving dinner. Want to get ahead to the holiday shopping forecast because Christmas Day is less than 40 days away. This Saturday, November 19th, you've got great weather. It's going to be cold, but it stays dry. So whether you find yourself toward Paramus, that seems to be Kristina's mall of choice. Cara over in Freehold. How about Mike? That'd be me over in Woodbridge. Although I'm more a fan of, say, Willowbrook. I think that's more my speed. Cherry Hill for Don. 41 degrees for you with mostly sunny skies. And while it stays dry this weekend, it does get a little bit colder. So Sunday's forecast climbs to a high of only 36 degrees. That means it gets very cold going into the next few days. Even Freehold, 38 degrees on Sunday. A high temperature of 37 in Woodbridge is quite unusual because it will feel more like the last week in December versus the second to last week in November. These temperatures are running anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees below average, when just last week we were 10 to 25 degrees above average. So when you start off each morning in the 20s and climb into the mid-30s, just barely getting above freezing, this is in the shade. So obviously you stand on the sunny side of the street in Cherry Hill, Don's Mall there over in South Jersey, 37 degrees. Yeah, it'll feel quite cool. Can't exactly find any warmth coming up until we get to Thanksgiving week. So later on in the week, I think there's going to be some pleasant weather with milder forecasts ahead, especially going into Monday and Tuesday. Notice how we jump from the mid-40s into the low 50s, even Wednesday, 52 degrees as a high. So it starts off below freezing each morning going through this weekend, and then finally climbs back to the above freezing mark once we get into Thanksgiving. If you're wondering how the parade is looking, because it's a very big question, obviously folks here in New Jersey love going to the balloon testing that happens here in New Jersey, and then of course across the Hudson for the big parade. Weather looks pretty good. I think we have a good shot of decent weather for Thanksgiving morning, especially with those light winds, because that's always a concern. So as you're making your plans and maybe getting ready, I'm usually starting sipping cocktails on Thanksgiving morning as I'm preparing Thanksgiving dinner. Of course, with the parade on in the background, weather looks good. Chilly, of course, but I think we'll see dry conditions. So that's some great news for the Thanksgiving holiday. On next week's show for Thanksgiving Day, we've got the Thanksgiving extremes that New Jersey has seen. The hottest temperature, the coldest temperature, the wettest, and yes, dare I say, even the snowiest on Thanksgiving Day over the last century. So I've got that fun facts for you going into next week's show. So be sure to tune in for that. So Cara and Don, have any plans for Thanksgiving, for the holiday itself?
I mean, of course, but actually, Mike, before we even get into that, I want to go back to, because I loved that you touched on food waste, because as the resident chef here on the morning show, there's so many things folks can do to spare that. So all your veggie scraps go in a Ziploc baggie in the freezer. You can make veggie stock with it.
True.
Same thing with all of your giblets or cutaways from your turkey, chicken, whatever you're going to be. Just toss it in the freezer. If keep it separate if it's raw or cooked. But then when you're ready to make stock, put everything on a sheet pan in the oven at like 450, roast the heck out of it until it's nice and brown, and then throw it in a pot with water. It makes the best chicken stock, turkey stock, whatever that you've ever had. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. And you can also take an old garbage can. I make my own compost as well for the garden in the spring.
Yeah.
Just drill holes in the bottom of it so some of the fluids come out. So even if you have, because I'm guilty of it all the time, I cook so much food for all the other work that I do. Eventually it just, I don't get to all of it. So, but anything that I can goes in the composter.
Yeah, the compost is an interesting thing. Growing up, our neighbor next door, I mean, she lived to 91, 92, didn't have a gray hair on her head or whatever, but she was way ahead of all this. She had a compost. She would grow everything herself. And she wouldn't go to the store as far as vegetables were concerned. She grew everything. She ate everything out of her garden.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's
I mean,
great.
I'm going back into, she was there since 1940 and stuff like that. So, it was pretty amazing that she was that advanced.
That's how you grew up in the Garden State. You think they
That's
went to
true.
the Mega Mart
That's
down
right.
the block?
Let me tell you what. My dad was born and raised in Jersey City. My pop had a patch of grass in the back of a brownstone that was this big. The man could grow tomatoes, cucumbers. Everything came out of this little 4x4 patch of ground.
Oh my God.
And it's a nice lesson in carbon sequestration, because that is kind of, the science of what you're doing with composting.
Yeah.
You're taking the carbon from where it would have gone back into the atmosphere and putting it back in the ground where it belongs. You're basically doing the life cycle of a tree. So great job.
I'll tell you what, it makes the best tomatoes.
Very nice.
Yes, it does. Makes it all the more flavorful. So that's really exciting.
Actually, Mike, I got a question for you. That data was kind of really telling there from 2016 to 2100. How far back does that data go? I'm just kind of thinking, when Earth Day, the whole beginning of that movement back in 1970 got started. How much of an impact that has made, making it more aware of being environmentally friendly.
Yeah, sure. Pam, if you want to put up the graphic again, I loaded it up for you to kind of show what it looks like. Going back to the 1970s is a good baseline, because there's the 30-year period, and that's typically what we consider the climate normal and the climate record. The emissions go all the way back to the 1850s, and that's
Wow.
where we see a little bit of a spike. And it was and this is kind of going back to day one of my Kane Intro to Meteorology lecture over in Kane University. So I've done it a few times. That's why I can rattle it off quickly.
The Professor Mike.
I know. Where's Laura? Laura loves this stuff. She's like goes to school. It's all about going back to the start of the Industrial Revolution, where there was a large spike in emissions due to the burning of coal, because coal was the energy source of choice back in the day, but it is a very carbon intensive fossil fuel that releases a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And so that's where a lot of the jump is seen globally in carbon emissions. So that's where, kind of before the 1850s, there was this period of the last 8,500 to 10,000 years where the emissions were just kind of the same. The carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere was pretty consistent because it changes with ice ages. That's why it goes back about 10,000 years. And then we see this big jump, almost increasing that by about 25 to 30% in the last 150 years. So that's how far back the data goes. Industrial Revolution, 1850 or so.
Man, that's crazy. But again, Mike, I love that you put in the food, because when you're right, but people look at something like that and it becomes overwhelming, and you're like, there's nothing I could do. Your plate, your dinner plate is where you have the most power over climate change. I can't emphasize that enough for folks.
Precisely.
All right, Mikey. Thank you so much, my
Good stuff,
friend.
Mike.
We will talk to you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Happy shopping.
Thank you. So guys, before we wrap things up today, we just want to let you know about there's a new festival coming to East Hanover this season. It's the first ever East Hanover Holiday Festival. It's going to be held on Sunday, December 4th, and there's going to be no shortage of attractions.
This year, the committee took it upon themselves to expand it into this so-called festival, and it's really taken off. We're getting some positive response from the property owners, the public. There's going to be the high school band, the dance school, ice skating, a train ride, food trucks, all kinds of activities.
The festival will be held in front of the East Hanover Town Hall, where the Christmas tree will be lit. Among all the excitement, Santa Claus will also be making an appearance. And yes, I need to remember to read the prompter. So from someone who goes ad-libs his entire career, I got to remember to read.
It's tough. Yeah, I was going to say same thing. Yeah, it's tough to get used to.
Exactly. And East Hanover does a great job. I mean, they have so many events.
They have so many events. And I just feel like they really do such a great job making them family friendly and making them all inclusive as well. So that's I love it's a holiday festival. So regardless of your belief system, if any, you can still come and enjoy the lights and the food and the atmosphere.
Exactly. The hot chocolate and the cookies and what have you, and just be.
Oh, hot chocolate. I'm due for hot chocolate.
I know, right? Exactly. And again, just be social,
Yes.
instead of being on social media, maybe get out
Go
and
out
actually
and be social.
kind of talk to people. I just want to say,
Imagine
hello to my good friends in East Hanover, the Wetzels. Ken and Barb. That's their actual names, Ken and Barbie. That's
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And the daughter Nancy and their son Mike. So good friends of mine, the Wetzels, they're in East Hanover. So big hello and happy holidays to them. Yeah.
All right, guys, that is it for this week on the New Jersey Morning Show. We thank you so much for joining us and watching. Once again, I'm Cara DeFalco.
And I'm Don Smith. We'll see you back here next time.